Good afternoon for those of you over here on the West Coast, and good evening to those of you on the East Coast. We're going to give it another minute, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. I see folks are filling in. We've got about 22 people on right now, so we'll just give it a little minute, and then we'll get started. And maybe that's all we have right now. Great. So we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katina Rue. I'm a former family medicine residency program director, and I am the chair of the AOGME Education Committee. And I want to welcome you to this Transitions and Medical Education series webinar called the Post Match and Prep for Residency webinar. It's hosted by ACOM's AOGME Resident and Fellow Council and the Council on Residency Placement. A few housekeeping um, notes that this is going to be recorded, and as always, will be on our website within the next week. It will be on ACOM and AOGME websites. That's for the main session. The breakouts aren't going to be recorded. Please feel free to use the Q&A feature if you have any questions, and please keep yourself muted until the breakout rooms where you can raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask all the questions. If you have any technical difficulties, chat with us in the webinar chat. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome, you will see our panelist here, and thank you so much for taking your time to spend together with folks here tonight. And I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves, starting with Dr. Frank.
Hello, I'm the Associate Dean of Graduate Medical Education at the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm also the Director of Medical Education for Vandalia Health for our residency programs in the town where I work, which is Lewisburg. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we're going to skip over to Miss Warfield.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Warfield. I'm with the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine in Fort Worth. I'm currently a residency counselor, helping the students get in the mindset and get ready for applications and things. Prior to that, I managed family medicine, internal medicine, and multiple different programs across the state of Texas since 1999. So great to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Dr. Cronkwright.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. I'm a third year resident in OBGYN at Inspira Health in South Jersey and spent most of my time at Unicom up in Portland, Maine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Welcome. Dr. Eduwo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ida Wu. I'm a PGY3 in emergency medicine at Jefferson Einstein in Philadelphia. I went to Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, so I stayed on in the same area. And I'm also your policy chair for the Residents and Fellows Council.
Thanks so much for being here and for putting this together. And next, last but not least, Dr. Roddy.
Hi, everyone. So, yes, my name is Dr. Roddy. I'm a PGY4 with the Case Western Reserve University and UH University Hospitals partnership in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm in a fellowship specializing in child and adolescent psychiatry.
So great to have you here. And Sandra, our final panelist, glad to see you. Would you love to introduce yourself? You're on mute. Still on mute.
Try bottom left button.
If you're on your phone, if you swipe to the right, you can sometimes click the big red button.
Looks like she's frozen.
Yeah, it does look like she's frozen now. Well, Sandra has been having technical difficulties, but we're happy to have her here. And she's a residency program manager in dermatology, and hopefully she'll be able to join us here in a bit. But we're going to start this session by asking our panelists to go around in the same order we just went in, if you can remember where you were in that order, um, to give your top 2 or 3 tips to our students.
I would say one of my top 3 tips is complete any onboarding requirements early. If your coordinator has reached out to you and talked about credentialing or getting your license or background check, the sooner you complete that, the sooner your coordinator can get you onboarded into your facility. The other big tip that I would have, if you have any personal business that you need to take care of, once you've moved to your residency town, if you need to update your license or if you need to get
Okay.
a bank account, those would be my tips.
Thanks. And like Sandra, we've got you now.
I am so sorry. I'm on my phone. I couldn't
You're
get
good.
it to work. Okay. Um, what would you like? Am I going to go into a room or?
You're gonna introduce yourself, and then since you're highlighted, we're gonna ask you your top 2 tips for our students, what they should be doing the next couple months.
Okay. Are we talking as far as application purposes, kind of getting ready for residency?
As they're transitioning from graduation into their programs here on July 1st.
Okay. I would say, and I'm speaking for dermatology. We're a very competitive specialty. Um, if possible, try to get a rotation, try to meet the residents somehow, some way, connect with the current residents. That's a big deal for us, is that the camaraderie's there and they get to know you a little bit. We look at all the applications, of course, and we vet those, but people can look great on paper, but if you can get yourself out there and try to get to know some of our residents and even work with some of the attendings, that always helps. That just a little bit of personal one-on-one makes a huge difference, especially when it comes to ranking.
Thanks. I'm going to move over to Kimberly.
All right. So, Dr. Frank got my big one is like emails. When those coordinators start emailing you, connect, pay attention, be responsive, right? If you plan on doing any vacation traveling, okay, let your coordinator know, hey, I'm out of the country. Am I available? Will I be checking emails? Because there are going to be some really short deadlines. And you're going to need to like turn that around pretty quickly. And so, let them know if you're checking emails, and if you're not, be responsive. Even if it's a, hey, I'll look at this in 2 or 3 days, just let them know when that is coming. That's going to be the most, you're going to just have some really short deadlines. And I don't want to steal someone else's. I have a couple of other things, but I'll let everybody else talk because don't want to steal them all the good ones. So thank you.
Great. We'll go down on my screen to Ashley.
Hi, everyone. So from a resident perspective, I would say enjoy this last couple of weeks that you have to relax. Don't go cramming your textbook all day, every day for the next 4 weeks. And every program's a little bit different on how they coordinate vacation time, but ours is in 3 week or 3 month blocks. Um, use it. So many of our like brand new interns won't take any single days off in the first couple of months, and you need it. You really need it. You're working so hard. Even just to take a mental health day to where you don't leave your bed, please take it.
I think I'm up next.
Yes.
All right. So I would echo all of those things, especially the enjoying. You're going into the tough part of your new profession early in the summer, and it's very hard to like kind of divide. Make sure you're still making time for your hobbies and things. Like figure out a system that works for you because you're going to be working a lot, but maybe you can only go to one of your intramural sports things a week, or maybe you have to go from being like full time on that team to now being I can walk on every now and then, and they still are okay with that. Kind of coordinate the things that are going to still bring you joy during residency and start to build those habits and make time. The other thing I would probably say is same thing with like not studying too much. Start to, listen to some not songs, listen to some podcasts and things as you're like going into different rotations and try to like let things soak in and then start to book work when you're like closer to like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months into your residency or intern year.
All right, I'm next. So, kind of to echo the theme of PTO, try to get all your PTO submitted ASAP. Some programs do it by the year. If you don't know what you're doing a year out, use placeholders and then change later. Trust me. Yeah, I learned by experience. The second thing is just like Miss Warfield was saying, is stay responsive. You don't have to go out of your way. Don't try to like impress, just be yourself, be polite, but responsive. That's the biggest thing because everybody's under a lot of pressure and they just need to know that you have not, just thrown it off the deep end, not thinking about them anymore. The other thing I would say is pay attention to the culture of your program. Just start kind of picking up on that. Some programs, some details are really big, other details are not, and kind of pick that up early. And then the last little tidbit I'd give is consult your manuals often. Anything that they give you in as a handout, read it. Just read it, especially if it's bolded or especially if it's red. Like I know information burnout is a thing, but read it. Just force yourself to read it. Yeah. And then the other thing is just focus on moving in, focus on whatever you need, just like Dr. Idowu said, focus on your rhythms. Try to establish your rhythms early.
Those are great. I guess my 2 cents is exactly what y'all said. Um, this is your last kind of break for a while, for a period of time. But during that break, kind of preparing yourself mentally because this is going to be a big challenge and a new phase of your career. So being able to have some time to reflect in that time off as you're running around, responding to emails, sending off the forms, photocopying your driver's license, changing your address, all those life skills and life things that you have to do as you're moving, taking that time to reflect and just kind of remember what's important to me now, and how am I going to hold on to that as I'm transitioning into being a physician and all the new opportunities and challenges that come with that. Um, and if there's some opportunity to have fun, especially with your new interns, support those opportunities, dive in. Um, you're going to be in through the thick of it for years to come. So jumping in right at the beginning is always a good thing. And we have a little time for some pre-made questions before we go out into the breakout room. And I'll just throw these up here, and whoever has an answer, go ahead um, and answer. Um, this I think is really important for everyone, is what strategies helped maintain your well-being during your intern year? I think especially for the residents to answer that question.
I think for me, having boundaries and not being afraid, just having some faith that if you stick to them, it's not going to be the end of the world. People are still going to like you. There's going to be no FOMO. Like, just stick to them, protect your joy, because that's what most people will enjoy about you as well.
I would say establish whatever your wellness thing is going to be. Some people want to do therapy, some people want to have close family networks. If you're close to where your family is, make sure they understand the expectations have to shift a little bit for yourself, but also like when we're talking about PTO, make sure that you're scheduling some of those things so that you don't miss the major life moments that you may regret in the future because you have to make some sacrifices right now. Just again, boundaries and trying to prioritize your wellness during this first start off because it's going to be hard to figure out who you are as a physician, who you are as a, whether you're a parent, wife, mother, husband, brother, sister, so on and so forth, but establishing what those look like together. And I think that there's a lot of resources and a lot of residencies that people do not take advantage of. So establish a therapist because it's hard to do it when you're at the point where you are maybe crashing or in a point of burnout. But if you get someone early on, you establish a trust. And then when you have those moments, you feel like you have a person to go to. Additionally, establishing a mentor early that you can also, that may be in your specialty, because in that way they can kind of give you some of those tools and resources that are good to keep, good to let go of. And that's going to help you kind of find your way as you start off.
I would say everybody decompresses in a different way, but honestly, get this might be bad advice, but get used to doing something, doing your like hobbies a little bit tired. Like the way that I decompress is I go to live music shows and I travel for those, honestly, sometimes. And I've never regretted it. I've gone to weddings on two sides of the country in the same weekend and had a blast. Was I tired at the end? Yes, but get used to doing some of your fun activities a little bit tired. You're not going to regret it.
That's great. That's great. How about coordinators? Anything from the coordinator side or advisor side?
I would say we talked about rhythms and things like that, but knowing when you need to sleep, like, and when you can sleep, like, especially when you're not on call, like but when your body says you need to sleep and you can go get some rest, right? Um, I know in my years of managing residencies and even now with students, when people come to me and they're overwhelmed. And one of my things is when was the last time you slept? When was the last time you ate a good meal? Be cognizant of those things because medical school's hard, residency's harder. And I say that to people and they're like, it's harder in a different way. But take care of your body, take care of your mind, the other resident said, like if they're, you're like, oh, I'm not in therapy or I don't need therapy, residency may get you there. So let's start the relationship early. And I'm not trying to say that to be rude. But when you're already established and you can pick up that phone and call that person, mentors, if your program assigns you a mentor, get to know them. If you don't hear from them, be the person to go, hey, when are we going to have coffee? Like, but those are all things to take care of you because this is probably the most important time in your life to take care of yourself. We always need to take care of ourselves, but this is going to be really hard. I have a son who's a physician. And so I remember sharing that with him and his wife. And so, but the culture, get used to take your rhythms. Like I love that word, knowing when you need what, right? Take Sunday to nap. If you have a Sunday off, nap, meal prep, whatever your day is, like nap, meal prep, like just be ready for the week. And those boundaries will help you have that time.
I think those are some great tips right there. Another question that we hear often is, what sort of habits or routines um, set interns on the right track? I don't want to say that they're going to be stellar that maybe they're standing out, but just so we're not sinking as we start our intern year, what are some good habits and routines um, that help us be successful as interns?
Set an alarm early for submitting your hours on MedHub. Just get it, like put it at 5 p.m. on Friday. This way, as you're walking out, you don't forget, you just get it out of the way.
What's MedHub for the audience that might not know what MedHub is or
Yeah.
new innovations?
Yeah, so it's like the GME tracking websites that each program uses for like hours, your CV, your portfolio for like centralizing everything.
So that's a new world that the students are going to be walking into is that we in GME track everything you do. Kind of like one of my jobs right now is a nursing home manager. We're tracking all the peeing, the pooping, everything, the behaviors. They're not going to track down to that level, but they will track where you are, what are you doing, what procedures have you done. So learning a system and after you've got the system actually inputting it into the place where it needs to be, finding a method and I think finding a resident that can help you develop your own personal way to keep track of all those things you're going to have to keep track of because that is something that can lead to burnout if you don't develop that system early on and then I was just talking with a resident about to graduate, and he said, when I was an intern, I wish I would have captured all those geriatric visits when I was an intern, but I only captured, 30 of them, and I really saw a lot more. I'm like, yep, yep, didn't know we were going to be counting so carefully later on, did you? Ask and learn how to track, and then submit those things that we're tracking.
I agree with that. But you need to keep up with your case logs and all of those things because you can forget. And then at the end of the day, they need to be there. We have a 3-year derm program, and cases are very important. And you forget to log, and then you don't have enough. And third year rolls around, and oh, we're looking for a graph or something. So keep up with the logs and the hours, and makes it much easier scholarly activity.
I would say take every opportunity, kind of in the same vein, but to see one, do one, teach one. You might be a little bit nervous starting off, and you're like, hey, I don't want to jump in and do this procedure just yet. But it might be your opportunity to see one. And then you'll see how someone else set up their field, how someone kind of either calm their nerves or what do they do before they start? Do they watch another video on how to do something or can they jump right in because now they're your fourth year, they're like a super senior resident and they know what they're doing. Those all are opportunities to help you to shape who you are going to be as a resident and to start to see who you look to for mentorship or who you want to go to for any help or assistance. Same thing I would say is then the do one. It's going to be nervous. Your hand is going to shake with that first procedure, but do it. You're practicing medicine, you're learning how to practice medicine, and you have to start practicing at some point. And there will be so many opportunities for different procedures that you might think you'll see again that you might not see again if you don't take that opportunity then. And then teach someone because once you've taught someone else, you're able to it both helps you with your process. You know, how do you set yourself up to do those same things, or how do you take care of that patient? What did you change about the ventilator settings? You kind of get the opportunity to see both sides of learning and teaching, and it helps you to be better as a senior resident because in a blink of an eye, you're going to be one.
Yeah. The other thing is that like when you get a chance, inquire to see if your program does already track all your cases via your notes. That's something that at our program we're just discovering now, and it has made case tracking so much easier. So just a polite inquiry. And if it's possible, like if you have Epic at your system, maybe advocate for it respectfully, because that's kind of what how ours started. It's just somebody that was like a little bit more tech savvy. They're like, I think this might be possible. And the program director was like, I think this might be possible too. And so together, now, the case log pressure is a whole lot easier. But if your program doesn't have that, sorry, but do inquire. And to answer Ling's question about, if we soaped into our program, how do we get to know the program's culture? One simple way is kind of by looking at their social media, connecting with them, not being shy. Be respectful and polite, but just start asking away. You're not going to be annoying. Everybody has gone through it. And the more you ask, the more you're going to cross that barrier of like, oh my gosh, I soaped and blah, blah, blah. And there's this big chasm. Just start talking.
Dr. Frank, and then I have a comment about the soaping.
So if your program doesn't already have a mentor, like a peer mentor program where they link up a junior resident with a senior resident, figure out who you're going to be on your first couple rotations with, reach out to them. Say, this is what tips, what recommendations, how do I do an admission? Do you all have a form? Are there templates? Are there checklists? Um, most programs have um, like standard operating procedures or like tips um, for how to be successful on different rotations. So utilize those.
My comment about the soaping resident, as I've soaped many residents over my years, is that many programs don't even disclose that to the residents that are there. So you might think that you have kind of a scarlet letter on your forehead when you come into the program that you soaped. That's not the case at many, many programs, right? You are a resident in this program no matter what. And so don't don't be shy about that. It's okay. The residency program chose you to come to their program, whether or not you got there via the soap. Some of my chief residents have been residents that had soaped and they were great. So you're not less for soaping. So please take that home with you. Um, you have every right to be there just the same as everyone else. And you have a little more leeway with being curious about what the culture is of the program because you maybe didn't have that experience. So you can dive right in and as Dr. Ruddy said, ask all the questions and see what you can do to get to know the program. One more question before we go into our breakout room. And um, uh, uh, one of the questions is how can students prepare for the expectations of residency? How can they mentally prepare for that? Make a checklist to kind of prepare for what they're going to go through during their intern year.
So, Miss Adams, you want to answer it? Okay.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. We start at PGY two, so we don't take interns. So they're relatively somewhat experienced by the time they get to PGY two. So I may not be the best person to answer that intern question. They're not quite as new when they come to Durham.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll come back.
I was gonna say what everybody's talked about, like getting your routines down, getting your boundaries set, letting your family know, hey, there's gonna be days I just can't answer the phone. Like if you have a spouse and kids, of course, but like, I speak for myself, but also managing residents, but my son being a physician, so I know in residency, it was like, I let the siblings know, like, hey, he's not going to always answer the phone. You're not going to be at everybody's beck and call. But also, one of the things that I can think can help you prepare for it mentally is know that residency manual. There's going to be a manual for the institution. And you guys don't know this, so that's why I'm telling you. There's probably two manuals. There's probably an institutional manual. Okay. Let's say you work for HCA. That's one of the biggest residency places we have. So HCA will have a manual, but your program will have a manual. So there will be institutional guidelines, and then there's going to be program guidelines, and you're going to have to know both of them. And you don't want to know them when it's urgent, right? You want it like, so let's say PTO, right? So I wanted to take PTO. Well, in general, you're going to have to put in 60 days. This is a generalization. It can be different for every, but 60 to 90 days ahead of time. So when I think Dr. Roddy was the one who said start planning your vacations. Like, no, my sister has a wedding in December. Let the coordinator know those things. But know those manuals. There's going to be at least two that you're going to have to know. There's also going to be a hospital manual that's more procedural, but know the manuals. Take time to read them. Don't wait till it's emergent or urgent to read them. That will help you start mentally preparing. And if you don't understand, ask someone. There's not going to be a stupid question. You're going to have a coordinator, you're going to have a program director, you're going to have chief residents, hopefully more than one. Ask the questions because I promise you, just like in med school, if you have a question, everybody else does too.
Yeah. And if you get completely lost in terms of like, what do I ask? Just chat GPT. What's a typical day in the life of an intern? That'll give you plenty of material to ask off of.
And I would say, no, so in the vein of knowing your manual, know when you have to take like your level exam and when your in-service training exam is, and make sure that they don't coincide, overlap, or you're not ready for it. And also know when that's due. There's some programs you have to take it for the first time, pass or fail. You have to take it for the first time in your intern year. Sometimes it's up through your PGY2 year, but know when that time is, because if the cutoff is in April and you find out in March, or you find out in February, or you're realizing this in December, and you're not ready or you're not registered and there are no spots, you're going to find yourself anxious, flying to different states, doing different things to try and take that exam to meet your program deadlines. You don't want to put your employment or your overall well-being, anything at jeopardy while you're trying to just get through intern year. So knowing the manual, knowing your deadlines are kind of those checklists. So the checklist as you're preparing to go in, and then checklists throughout that first year of what you need to accomplish, maybe even ask what the milestones are for your year, and see how you and try to gradually meet those milestones as you progress through your intern year.
Yeah, and one more thing I'd like to add, if you are somebody who's been diagnosed with ADHD, shore up your support systems ASAP and double and triple layer them. Just accept that, like, hey, your mind works different. Don't wait for the moment to come where you're like, oh crap, I keep forgetting to say people are gonna be fine just because you're gregarious or whatever. No, shore them up.
Great, great tips. We're going to transition into our breakout rooms now. And for those participants that are out there, go ahead. You will get to pick a breakout room of your choice, and you can go back and forth to different rooms. So those will close at 7:58. But while you're in there, ask all the questions. Bounce around if you want. And then we'll kick you out back into our main room at 58 minutes after the hour. So that brings us to the end of our time together. A couple of themes that I heard are um, really around communication. So communicating with your program coordinator, that is your best friend in the world. Your program coordinator will either um, their whole job, a chunk of their job is to keep you going and to keep you successful, but you have to communicate. You have to do your logging. You have to communicate. You have to ask those questions. So communicate, 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 and ask for help. Reach out, ask for help. There will be plenty of times that you will struggle. Um, Everybody else is struggling, so um, ask for help. Sorry. It's like loud over here. Um, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. And Dr. Roddy, you want to have one last comment before
Yeah.
we?
Thank you, Dr. Root. So yeah, a communication, and we were just reminded in the previous breakout session, what if you're communicating and nobody's getting back to you? So understand the time and try different strategies. Like right now, for example, is super busy. Try to consider what else might be going on. And maybe if the way you've been writing the email hasn't working, then just try something else. Keep it, the busier the time, keep this question as simple as possible. So yeah, just keep trying. There's always a reason why people aren't getting back to you. And if you keep at it respectfully and politely, most people do appreciate that because they do forget as well.
For sure. Be persistent, ask for help, and communicate, and have fun. This is fun. It's going to be all right. So thank you, everybody. There's some emails in the chat if folks want to write those down and reach out if they have questions later on. It's nice to see everyone here, and thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
Bye.
Bye.